What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Essence of Lex. Thank you for joining me again on my Bloom journey. And if you clicked on this video, it's because you're interested in my review and my recap of Sistas Season 6, Episode 2, called Full Circle Moments. So we're going to go ahead and get straight into it. I remember in Season 5, I don't remember the exact episode, but in Season 5, when Danny thought she had killed Jonah, so she was in the office with Fatima and Andy. All you got to do is say the word and he's handled. If Danny is not going to say word, I am going to say word for her. If Andy is not going to let Danny say word, I am going to say word for her. So Fatima, word. Get mad at them on it. We need Jonah handled. Danny said word last season, but Andy didn't want it handled that way. And when this scene came on, and all I was thinking about is if we would have word last season, we would not be in this mess that we're in right now. And the type of man that they are presenting Jonah to be, he's not going to stop until somebody make him stop. So, in other words, Fatima word. That's all I got to say. Fatima word. So, y'all, let's get into what happened this episode. Andy drops Danny off at the house. Danny goes in the house and immediately goes into the refrigerator for a beer. Why she needed a beer when she was already up through there and drunk? But she went in the refrigerator and got a beer. She closes the refrigerator, turns around, and there goes Jonah. She's not even in her house a good 2 minutes before Jonah appears. He said, so you think I was going to let you get away with what you did? And I'm thinking like, she didn't let you get away with what you did. That's why you back. When Danny shook her head and cracked her neck, oh, baby, I knew it was about to be a fight. I knew Danny was finna give everything she had. She asked him to leave. He said, no, it don't work like that. She told him yet again to leave. And he said, no, we're going to finish this tonight. So Danny takes the beer bottle, hit him straight up beside the head with it. So now, you know, they fighting. But Danny ain't giving up, though. She's hanging in there, you know. She tried reaching for a knife, but he pulled it back to where she couldn't grab the knife. And at this point, I really wish she would have grabbed the knife so she could have stabbed him. Last time, Danny invited him in. This time, he broke in. He was asked to leave. He didn't leave. He was asked to leave twice and didn't leave. At this point, he is trespassing. And she has every right to defend herself in her home. Danny could have ended him and been free. Towards the end, it looked like Jonah was really about to choke her to death. So I'm so glad that Preston came in when he did. Preston busted into the door, got him up off her, and he started fighting. Then Danny got herself together. Now they in them Bunny and Clyde in there kicking him together. Danny was kicking them in the front. Preston was kicking them in the back. They was in unison, y'all. After a few moments of them kicking him together or whatever, Preston stops Danny and say, stop, you're going to kill him. And I'm just like, Preston, that's what we want. At this point, that is what we want. Danny even said, that's what I want to do. At this point here, I want anybody to take care of it. I don't know if it's going to be Danny, if it's going to be Preston, if it's going to be Fatima, if it's going to be Madam. I don't care who takes care of him, but I want somebody to take care of Jonah. His ego is bruised, so he's not going to stop. Like I said earlier, he's not going to stop until somebody stops him. So they call the cops or whatever, and Jonah gets locked up. So let's get into this conversation between Danny and Preston after that whole scene. Yes, I was ecstatic that Preston busted in when he did, but his reason for busting in just did not make any sense to me at all. So after all the chaos and whatever, you know, he tells Danny that, you know, I'm glad I came back because I almost did it. Because when he walked up to the door and we knew what was going on at that point between Jonah and Danny, and then he walked away and got back in his car, I was like, Preston, if you don't get your... I was yelling at the TV to get up out that car and go back to Danny in place. Y'all, his reasoning as to why he came back to the door was stupid, but all in all, I guess if I look at the bigger picture, he still came back. I think Danny asked him, so why did you come back? And he told her, I came back because I wanted to confront the guy you was with. Preston, how can you confront her about being with a guy when you have a whole fiance back at the hotel waiting on you? Make it make sense, my guy. It's not making sense. How can you confront her about that? Like, come on, man. You went and put a ring on another woman's finger. Of course, being the type of man that Preston is, he wasn't going to leave Danny alone. So he said, okay, I'm staying here. Danny said, no, I don't want you to stay here. Then he was like, okay, well, you going over to one of your friends' house then. And she was like, no, I'm not letting him run me up out my home. He basically told her, I'm staying here, and that's that. Danny didn't want him to, or maybe she wanted him to, and she was just trying to be strong. And because of what just happened previously with the Mindy situation, she probably was just over it. But after the night Danny has had, after the past couple of nights that Danny has had, I think I would have just let Preston hold me that night. I'm sorry. Danny been going through it, and I think I would have just had to cave in and got in Preston's arms. But I do understand why she didn't, or why she wouldn't have, you know. So they wake up the next morning or whatever, and Preston told her that, you know, he's still going to stay a couple of days or whatever the case may be, because Jonah just made bail. How he made bail, he must know some people that know some people. But Jonah made bail, so Preston not going anywhere. I don't think this is the last of Jonah, you know. All of this, of course, is up to TP, but I do not think we have seen the last of Jonah. I guess we just got to wait and see what TP takes it. And then at the end of the day, I can also see him not ever popping back up again. You know, it could have been a scene that was written so that Preston can get back in Danny good graces. So I can see it going both ways. We just have to see where TP takes it. So that was the Danny and Preston scene. I don't have any more thoughts on that. Let's talk about Fatima. The Fatima scene was cool to have. Last night they had a great pillow talk conversation, and then they woke up and still was in a good space. Zach was trying to cook Fatima breakfast in bed, but she had came downstairs before he can, you know, get everything together and bring it upstairs to her. You know, apparently she got ready and dressed earlier than normal because her and Andy have a deposition. Fatima looked good in her blue and yellow, as always, y'all. Fatima asked Zach what he's doing today. So Zach says that he's going to call Heather because he wants to formally be introduced to his son. Fatima is all for it. You know, I don't know what woman wouldn't be, you know. So they kiss and say that I love yous and see you later type thing. Zach calls Heather. The only relevant information to mention from this conversation between Zach and Heather is Heather claims that her sister watches Michael when she's at work. And when Heather gets off, she comes home pretty much to sleep and leave Michael to his devices to entertain him. She claims the door is locked and he got a TV, tablet, and I guess pretty much Michael is looking after himself while she is in there sleeping. She's saying alarming things to Zach. You know, if anybody is hearing that, it would be alarming. You know, so she's saying alarming things to Zach, but he's trying to overlook it. You know, agreed for Zach to come around 3 p.m. so he could see Michael. Cool. That was that scene. What else happened? There's not really much to mention about Andy and Gary this scene. You know, Andy and Gary was doing Andy and Gary things as usual. While Andy was dropping Danny off, she told Danny that, you know, I am going to leave Gary eventually. No, she said that wasn't, it means the same thing, but essentially verbatim, she said that she's going to let go of Gary. So she gets home to Gary and he's in the bed covered with flowers. It didn't go how Gary thought it was going to go. I don't even remember what they was going back and forth about, because at this point, it's the same thing in circles when it comes to Andy and Gary. So I can't remember if they was arguing about what happened at the law firm with Robin, or I think that's what it was. I think they was going back and forth about the situation that happened with Robin. Speaking of Robin, where is Robin? We ended with him in season 5. This is the 2nd episode. Is he just gone, or at some point are we going to talk about this Robin thing? Because at the end of season 5, we know he got the money up. Did he go back to London? Basically, that scene ended with Gary sleeping in the guest bedroom. I'm sure there's more to come in future episodes with them, but this is not the episode that Andy is letting go of Gary. He just went to the guest room. Calvin, Sabrina, Maurice. Let's talk about them. So Calvin went to see Sabrina to update her on what happened with Maurice and Q at the airport. So in the midst of Calvin updating her, Maurice come in being Maurice. He started giving his dramatic version of what happened at the airport. Then he went into, you know, how they need to get their job back. And Sabrina says she called corporate, and basically right now they are still out of a job. Basically, they're launching a full investigation. At the very least, I do hope Sabrina get her job back. Maurice is not moving like he want to get his job back. At the very least, I do hope Sabrina do get her job back, because after the investigation, it should prove that they had nothing to do with it. But you know, it's TV. We'll see what happens. That whole little storyline of Q robbing the bank or whatever have always made me think about Set It Off the movie. If you haven't seen Set It Off the movie, what have you been doing? Go watch it. But anyways, it's a spoiler, but not really. In the movie, you know, they fired Vivica A. Fox. She worked at the bank, but they fired her because she knew the person who robbed it. But she had nothing to do with the robbery at all. She just knew the person from back in the hood or whatever the case may be. So my last episode review, I know I was kind of cutting Maurice some slack. You know, just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt of everything that, you know, he's going through. But Maurice has to chill. Maurice has to chill, and he basically at this point just have to let the situation play out. You know, like I said, I gave him some slack last episode, but seeing how he acted in this episode, he is doing entirely too much for me now. When going up against someone who got nothing to lose, it's very much dangerous. And Q has nothing to lose at this point. Yeah, Sabrina did everything that she could, bringing along Andy as well. Andy, what is it? The African prince or whatever the case may be, to help get Maurice out of jail. And now he is so convinced and he is so tuned into trying to get Q to confess that is eventually going to lead him back in jail. At this point, he might be harming their case instead of helping it. So he needs to chill out. He really do need to chill out. Dumb and Dumber, Hayden and Gary. I've been calling them Dumb and Dumber since they whole little bromance or whatever it is that they got going on for a while. But Dumb and Dumber, let's talk about them. Gary is trying to tell Hayden not to go off the deep end when it comes to this girl, Tamara. But Hayden is not listening and not taking advice from Gary because Gary has went off the deep end when it comes to Andy. So he asked for Tamara's full name or whatever, and he was like, nah, don't worry about it. You know, I vetted her. Speaking of Tamara, she still wants a job at the law firm. So Hayden said he going to take care of that. You know, he going to get in the office. He basically going to make it happen. So Tamara calls Fatima. Fatima tell her, like, no, you can't work up there. Like, come on, that doesn't make any sense. You can't work up there. So then Tamara went into pain and caught Fatima off guard. Fatima told him, so haven't he been giving you gifts and everything of the sorts? And she was like, yeah. So Fatima told him, well, there go your pay right there. Then this Tamara situation, I don't know how it's going to end, how it's going to play out, because Tamara was sent to Fatima by Madam. Tamara knows how Madam get down and all that, but I guess Tamara doesn't care. So I'm interested to see how this is going to play out. But one thing's for sure, she is definitely doing her job because ultimately Fatima hired her to keep Hayden out the Fatima business. And she got that done. Hayden hadn't mentioned anything about Fatima or Zach. He is staying out of the Fatima business. So I ain't mad at Tamara. She doing her job. This was going to be a quick review and recap because nothing really happened in episode 2 that is really worth mentioning. So I'm just going to end it off with how the episode ended. Aaron called Pam trying to see how she heard from Karen because of course he's been calling her and she hasn't been answering. Pam asked Aaron how did he get her number. And that's the question that I want answered too. Because when I'm already on the fence about somebody, when I already know somebody is not who they say and who they are claiming to be, everything that they do, I am questioning. Because something is not very much accurate when it comes to Aaron. Aaron is not the person who he claimed to be. At least I don't think so. So I am interested to know how the hell did he get Pam's number? How? Man, at this point, Aaron is a mystery. Aaron is a mystery and we just have to wait for TP to continue to unravel it, I guess. Then I think the conversation went into Pam asking about the woman or whatever because she basically said that maybe that's why Karen is not answering your phone calls or whatever the case may be. And then Aaron basically told her, well, we worked it out. We've talked about it or whatever. That's none of your business. And Pam said something along the lines of, well, you made it my business when the woman approached us or something like that. And I was like, that's not exactly how I remembered it, Pam, but I see where you're going, but not exactly. He made it y'all business when the woman ultimately essentially just showed up at the salon and caused the scene, but the woman did not approach y'all. That's not how I remembered it. That's the conversation they had or whatever. I think they was about to get off the phone and then Pam pulled up to the salon and saw that the shop was on fire. And well, it wasn't on fire. I'm sorry, it wasn't on fire anymore, but you can tell that the shop caught on fire. So at this point, you know, that's how the episode ended. I know that was a quick review and recap, but like I said, nothing really happened. That's all I have. That's how the episode ended, and I'll see y'all for episode 3 review and recap.